The Pacific Ocean covers 1/3 of the world's surface. All the inhabited continents could easily fit into this vast ocean. Scattered over thousands of square kilometers of water, we find more than 10,000 islands. The Pacific Islands hold some of the rarest and most fragile ecosystems on Earth. Our ancestors established traditional conservation practices. However, traditions have long been giving way to modern development. Forests have disappeared. Islands have been mined. Modern fishing fleets catch vast amounts of fish. Factories are polluting the lagoons and rubbish is accumulating. This film explains about the South Pacific Regional Environment Program, SPREP, and what it is doing about some of these problems. SPREP is the regional environmental agency for the Pacific Island countries. With their adjacent exclusive economic zones, SPREP's member countries and territories cover an area approximately the size of Africa. SPREP was formed in 1978 within the South Pacific Commission. In 1992, SPREP moved to temporary facilities in Apia, Western Samoa, to become an independent regional organization.
I wish you a successful meeting. Soifua.
In June 1993, an historic plenipotentiary meeting was held in Western Samoa. At this meeting, the treaty establishing SPREP as an independent intergovernmental organization was signed. It is hoped that SPREP soon can move into a permanent secretariat building to be built on this land in Vailima, now set aside by the Western Samoan government. The action plan for SPREP identifies a number of environmental issues in the Pacific and then lays out what SPREP should do to address these issues in relevant work programs.
The ocean isolates islands from the rest of the world. This means that many islands contain endemic species that can be found nowhere else. SPREP has launched the South Pacific Biodiversity Conservation Program to help ensure that such species do not become extinct in the Pacific. The Biodiversity Program further aims at establishing conservation areas all around the Pacific. The South Pacific Biodiversity Conservation Program started in April 1993. SPREP is also involved in establishing protection programs for specific endangered species in the region. Marine turtles are an example of these endangered species. These unique animals are threatened by human activities. Many are still caught and killed for the meat, and some tourists will pay big money for turtle shell souvenirs. We must look carefully at how we use these species.
For many low Pacific atolls, the prospect of climate change and global warming overshadows all other environmental problems.
My house the whole house came down. The first wave that came in, it took the house away. So, and also the land was starting to disappear slowly. It was going down, they've been washed away. So as you can see now, this is where we used to have the land. Now it's all disappearing. The house we used to have to live in was in this side, was gone.
A change in the climate could lead to more destructive tropical cyclones and the sea level could rise. This could be critical for many low-lying atolls. So the South Pacific Sea Level Monitoring Program has been established to provide information to help member countries deal with the impacts of sea level rise. The National Tidal Facility in Australia has designed and erected 11 sea level monitoring stations in the region. All relevant sea level and climate data is transmitted to a central computer at the tidal facility.
This is the type of structure that supports the high precision acoustic measuring sensor, which you see here.
This project will provide information that can help establish the rate at which sea levels are rising so that the Pacific countries can take necessary action.
The National Environmental Management Strategy, or NEMS, is a new approach to integrating environment and development. One important task for SPREP has therefore been to assist Pacific countries in developing NEMS. These NEMS identify the environmental issues in the country and also specific projects to help resolve existing problems and to avert future ones. The NEMS project includes state of the environment reports and reviews of environmental legislation. A high-level national task team in each country prepared a draft national environmental management strategy, which was later discussed and amended in seminars in each country. When this process is finished, 13 Pacific Island countries will have national environmental management strategies with aid from SPREP.
Pacific Island countries are experiencing many types of new development. Road construction, hotels, mining, harbors, airports. This has, in some cases, led to environmental degradation that affected the development project itself. Near this hotel, for example, the combined effects of shifting currents in the lagoon and wave action from the sea have destroyed a sea wall and spoiled the beach.
I need an EIA done on this project.
Had an environmental impact assessment, an EIA, been done for the hotel, these problems could have been avoided. This SPREP EIA officer is dedicated to organizing workshops throughout the region to introduce EIA to public servants, developers and decision makers. EIA is now becoming a regular part of the development process in the Pacific Island countries. SPREP is also directly involved in providing assistance to member countries to develop EIAs when required for major development projects.
In most Pacific countries, except Papua New Guinea, the majority of the people live on or near the coast. Fish has always been the main source of protein for the people of this region. But with growing development, there is more pollution in the lagoons. Corals are dying because of siltation caused by logging or because they are being illegally dynamited by fishermen. When the coral die, the fish leave. Mangrove swamps are being cut down, reducing spawning areas for much of the marine life. SPREP is encouraging coastal management and planning in all member countries. In Western Samoa, for example, SPREP is assisting the local Department of Environment with a management plan for part of the lagoon Niapia. SPREP consultants identify coral species, and a monitoring program is now underway to assess the water and the marine life in the lagoon. The Coastal Management Program is one that touches everyday life for many Pacific people.
Several smaller Pacific Island countries have little or no space for waste disposal. Here, land area is so small that it is impossible to remove waste out of sight, as happens in larger countries. SPREP is assisting island nations to find solutions to their waste disposal problems through its waste management program. These solutions range from promoting activities that minimize waste disposal problems to encouraging the countries to participate in recycling schemes. In Niue, for example, SPREP and the New Zealand government helped establish aluminium can recycling. The local Catholic Church is mobilizing island youth to do this. Before, the cans were regularly thrown around everywhere. The cans are now deposited in bins and collected. The result is that litter is reduced in Niue and money is made from the recycled metal.
A major pollution emergency in our region could have catastrophic consequences for coastal areas, fishing and marine life. The small area of Pacific countries, combined with the vast area of ocean over which they are scattered, present the countries with logistical difficulties that few other nations have. Individual Pacific Island countries do not have the resources to keep an effective pollution emergency service on standby continuously. A regional meeting held in conjunction with the International Maritime Organization developed a draft strategy for pollution emergencies in the region. This strategy is now being assessed by SPREP member countries. SPREP will continue its efforts to ensure that pollution emergencies in the region can be dealt with efficiently and quickly.
Sustainable development is an explicit focus in SPREP's action plan. Achieving sustainable development is vital for resolving all the environmental issues SPREP deals with. The Pacific Island countries need economic development. Growing population need better housing, more food, more schools, better water supplies, more transport. SPREP's program for sustainable development seeks to help the member countries set up more appropriate national accounting systems. For example, a country may make immediate cash from a forest logged on a remote island. But what are the short and long-term costs for the country? Erosion could cause sedimentation in the lagoon and loss of local fisheries. This could displace the local people to urban centers, causing higher costs and higher population pressure on those centers. National accounting systems should consider all short and long-term factors that are influenced by a development project and not just short-term bank balances.
We will talk about conservation, and if you can look at the picture here, you can see
Public information and education is a vital part of SPREP's work program and affects all SPREP activities.
They are in our forest.
We need to get the message to the public and to special target groups. We produce the environment newsletter that is sent to people throughout the region. We supply information to regional newspapers, magazines, and radio programs.
We are now in a situation where humankind is able to damage and destroy Mother Nature in ways we never thought of.
We produce and store comprehensive documentation of research that has been carried out. We work with communities, women's groups, churches, and youth organizations in the member countries.
What about some posters? We have a lot of posters here too.
The education officer produces education kits and sends these out to schools NGOs and institutions on request.
Yeah, I shall send you these things that you have requested.
A variety of books, pamphlets, posters, slides and videotapes have been produced by SPREP.
SPREP, the South Pacific Regional Environment Program.
South Pacific Regional Environment Program.
Some of these are in local languages and in French, SPREP's other working language.
Nous sommes maintenant conscients que nous ne pouvons dissocier nos préoccupations écologiques de nos aspirations économiques, car en dernière analyse,
SPREP is the secretariat for several international and regional environmental conventions and treaties. SPREP's legal officer is helping the countries with legal advice in their ratification process of these conventions and assisting governments to write environmental legislation. Most Pacific countries are only now beginning to enact environmental legislation. For many, this is a necessary step before they can become parties to international treaties or conventions. The legal officer is also advising in SPREP's own activities.
The Pacific Environmental Assessment and Management Information System, PEMAS, is an information tool now being developed at SPREP. It includes a database that holds relevant environmental information about many countries in the region. Planners and developers can use the database to obtain otherwise unavailable or meaningless information in a way that they can understand and use in their decisions. The database contains information about natural resources, soil types, population distribution, freshwater resources, coastlines, drainage lines, and so on.
SPREP is financed through contributions from many areas. Member countries contribute between 20 to 25% of the budget. Australia and New Zealand provide over 35% of the budget in extra budgetary funds. France, Canada, Japan, Chile, the European Community and the United States of America, and recently Papua New Guinea and Fiji also contribute extra funds to SPREP's project budget. Numerous international development, environmental and associated agencies support SPREP financially. These include the United Nations Development Programme, the United Nations Environment Programme, the Asian Development Bank, the World Bank through the Global Environment Facility, the Commonwealth Fund for Technical Cooperation, the International Maritime Organization, the World Meteorological Organization, the United Nations Fund for Population Activities, and UNESCO. SPREP receives further funding from some non-governmental organizations. The World Conservation Union, Greenpeace, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, and the Nature Conservancy assist many SPREP programs.
With its own finance section, SPREP accountants keep detailed records that meet the various accounting and reporting requirements of donor countries and agencies. The finance section prepares an annual report on the financial state of SPREP and informs the director regularly on the organization's financial position.
And to handle the work of the drafting committee.
SPREP is governed by the decisions of the annual SPREP meeting. At this meeting, high-ranking government members or officials discuss SPREP's current activities and finances and give directions on future priorities of the program. The director of SPREP is in charge of the day-to-day business and the various projects.
Where they actually have the pro forma.
SPREP must reach to the grassroots to be effective. This is reflected in SPREP's own operations. Staff are consulted before major decisions are made. Weekly staff meetings discuss progress in the work programs and other areas.
SPREP liaises and cooperates closely with other regional organizations and institutions. The Forum Secretariat, the South Pacific Applied Geoscience Commission, the University of the South Pacific, the South Pacific Commission, the Forum Fisheries Agency, and others work with SPREP to ensure that the development projects throughout the region are planned and carried out with due regard for the environment.
SPREP is the spearhead organization for the environment in the Pacific, but SPREP cannot do this job alone.
Section B on the types of environment. The 5 world environments.
Educators, the media, churches, non-governmental organizations, and governments all must play a role. SPREP is dedicated to serving the peoples of the Pacific. We will in the future continue in this role. Together with all the inhabitants in this truly unique part of the world, we will be able to reconcile our fragile environments with the need for economic development, and so preserve our resources for our children and theirs.